A young man confidently declares his ambition to become a top-grade magician, while two others react with shock and a girl looks on calmly. 2 years earlier, Owen demands food despite it not being time yet, while a maid nervously protests. Owen Pepper demands to bring out the cake if the food is not ready yet. Owen scolds a maid to hurry up and mocks her for wanting to get fired, while she cowers in fear and confusion. People behind the door call out to the young master in surprise as he falls face first into the room. The maids anxiously check on Owen after he hit his head, and one of them recalls the incident while expressing hope that he is alright. He explains that in his previous world he was a salaryman named Sasaki Yukuyuta, and that he is now reincarnated as a brat who behaved outrageously insolent until now, while wondering what they should do next. He bows deeply while apologizing sincerely, and others react with surprise and concern, wondering what is happening as he feels he wants to hide if there was a hole nearby. He explains to the maids that he has reincarnated into someone while sitting at the dining table surrounded by food and other people. The elder explains that the people of a noble territory exist to be extorted, so the aristocracy may be fed, while the younger listens uneasily. A woman agrees with the burly feudal lord that it is the people's duty, while a narrator comments on the son of a vicious feudal lord. The man says that his parents have a strong sense of elitism and look down on commoners. The crowd expresses their hatred toward the lord, while Owen internally reflects on being raised by such parents and is then scolded as a useless dot by another character. Owen Pepper apologizes to the people of the territory, explaining that because of his terrible parents, he turned into a pig himself. The burly man asks Owen why he is not going to eat, and Owen replies that he cannot seem to muster his appetite. Owen tells the head chef that he is fired, and the head chef nervously tries to ask him not to be hasty. Owen insists that the food is not the problem but his stomach's mood, and urgently asks not to discharge someone, while another questions if that is true. Owen politely asks the chef to reduce his portions and make them healthier to lose weight, and the chef agrees without hesitation. Owen Pepper runs heavily out of breath while thinking about exercise next. The young master lies face down outside while an older servant brings him a towel, and his thoughts express disbelief and a feeling of impending doom. The older man politely thanks Owen, who thinks about how heavy his body feels, and that he lacks the stamina for exercise. Owen asks an older man if he knows effective ways to diet, and the older man suggests practicing magic to help with that. Owen reacts with shock and disbelief as a cloaked figure casts magic with a glowing circle, confirming the existence of magic. He explains that in this world only aristocrats and few commoners can use magic, his parents barely manage it, and are looked down upon by other nobles. The old man explains to Owen that magic consumes a lot of energy but suits him well, and offers to call a specialist to teach him, while Owen admits he cannot use magic himself and eagerly agrees to the offer. Several days later, Owen Pepper thinks about how his magic lessons are starting today, and he has been so excited that he hasn't slept. A woman introduces herself as Katharina and expresses her anticipation for their lessons together. The young man is surprised by a beautiful sight and is interrupted mid-word. The young man bows deeply, introducing himself as Owen Pepper, and expresses his pleasure to work together. A woman tells the young man that he seems quite different from what she had imagined, and he responds with surprise. The boy wonders what something could be and then dismisses it as unimportant. A woman agrees to start, while a character thinks about not telling the boy he was described as violent and selfish. The young man enthusiastically declares the woman to be his teacher because she will teach him about magic, while she responds with surprise. A girl says she will briefly explain what magic is about, and a boy enthusiastically agrees. The woman explains that using magic requires magic power, and instructs to first try perceiving that magic power, while the others acknowledge her direction. He struggles to imagine producing fire while learning that magic relies on the power of imagination, and understanding the phenomenon is essential to create it. The woman asks if the boy has managed to feel his magic power, and he replies that he has not. Then he questions how magic power should feel like, and the woman considers the question. The woman explains that magic power feels like a warm entity around her body center, and differs among people. Owen Pepper admits he doesn't understand, then hesitates, and a girl reassures him that it usually takes about a week to get a feel for one's magic power. He thinks about still having memories from his previous life and deduces that the new power in his body must be magic. Then he excitedly declares he found his magic power, surprising a girl nearby. The young man asks what comes after this, and the woman suggests he tries to move around his magic power. Then he excitedly shows he made it move, causing a surprised person to react disbelief. A woman acknowledges the process took longer than expected and suggests producing a real magic phenomenon next, while the young man comments that he is sweating heavily and believes he can lose weight using this magic. The woman tells Owen that he seems to be quite a genius at magic, and he reacts with a surprised expression. A young man expresses gratitude and happiness after receiving praise. She whispers that the rumors must have been mistaken. Then she looks up with a concerned expression and quietly asks if he is the teacher. The shining spirit instructs the boy to focus his awareness on where he wants to produce magic, and the boy responds that he understands, while the girl says it is nothing. A woman casts a fireball with magic. Owen watches in amazement, and she encourages him to try it himself. He focuses his power in his right hand and thinks to himself that this, alone, is already quite draining. He insists he is fine despite sweating heavily, while the girl tells him not to overdo it because it is his first time. And then he concentrates on using magic, imagining its effect. The young man summons a ridiculously huge fireball, while the woman watches with surprise. A woman is surprised that the child conjured a large fireball, while the boy excitedly says he managed to use magic for the first time. A young master asks where Katharina is and if he fell unconscious. Then a man inquires if the young master has awakened. The maid informs Owen that the lady is currently discussing with the master in the parlor, and then his father angrily accuses someone of injuring his son and failing to provide proper lessons, while Owen yells that it happened because of him. A woman reproaches a man for insulting her parents, while he dismisses her apology and criticizes the vulgarity of Baronhouses, mentioning the lowliness of her parents. The father grabs the girl by her collar and says he will be the one to educate her, while the boy shouts his father's name and thinks he cannot overlook this. Owen clenches his fist tightly, while a woman asks what he wants, and the burly man doubts he can stop him with normal argumentation. He says he is going to teach her lessons and suggests stepping into the same ring. Black Pepper tells Owen not to be lenient with her, and Owen replies that he will teach her her place. The woman, startled, asks what he plans to do to her, and he responds that he has nothing in particular planned. The young man apologizes for his father and asks if Katharina-sensei is alright. She asks if he rescued her, and he downplays it, saying it was nothing grand. Then she suddenly decides something and hugs him tightly, surprising him. She tells him that although he is just a child forced to adapt shamefully, she will protect him so he can live as a child should, and he thinks she is under a big misunderstanding but is a good person. Owen continues practicing magic daily for 2 years and demonstrates his ability to create a fireball from his imagination. The young man expresses excitement by saying that nothing is more fun for him. Owen reflects that he has already lost most of his weight and is almost at his goal, while thinking he can still grasp a bit of a beer belly, and the older man respectfully calls him young master. Owen learns from an older man that a letter has arrived for him and wonders about the letter's contents. They explain that Adelheid, the daughter of a ducal house, is about to celebrate her 10th birthday, and that there is an invitation letter for the event. The boy wonders if his parents will attend and decides to ask them just in case, while the older man agrees that it would be bad not to accept the letter. The burly man angrily rejects the idea of attending the event, calling it stupid, while the woman agrees precisely. Sasaki thinks aloud that others probably don't want to bother having a child alone, and adds he doesn't care much. Then an older man tells a woman to go by herself, and she reluctantly agrees. He explains that aristocratic high society values magic ability. Fat people are considered poor magic users, and his parents barely use magic. He reflects that rejecting an invitation from a ducal house would cause offense for a count family, explaining that they avoid noble gatherings due to complex feelings, and that he feels the same. He thinks he has no choice but to go alone, and admits to being bad with such things, since he is a loner anyway. Owen Pepper mocks the crowd, telling them to feel honored to speak with him, and calls them inferiors, while reflecting on how losing his past memories led to fewer social invitations. A week later, the young man encourages himself that he has become thinner and believes things will go better now, insisting he can succeed and is no longer like his previous self. He feels nervous and reflects that he hopes his etiquette is not too awkward, since Sebas taught it to him. Owen thinks about quickly overturning his bad reputation while a man notices and points out the House of Adelheid, advising to be careful not to stand out negatively. A young girl named Natalie Adelheid descends the stairs with a bright expression, attracting attention from passers-by. Owen thinks the girl is very cute and compares her to an angel. He stands alone and thinks about being an unsocial and infamous person, while a brightly shining young girl talks to 2 men nearby. A girl reflects that the worlds they live in are truly different while smiling. Sasaki feels calm being alone and notices a girl whose cheerful face is shadowed despite seeming incredibly blessed, while Owen admires the beautiful garden from the balcony. The girl expresses surprise that someone else is present and the modest young man responds that it seems there is indeed someone else there. The girl says she thought no one else would be here, and the boy replies that it seems there is someone else. A young lady introduces herself as Natalie Adelheid and greets politely while it is noted she belongs to the Adelheid ducal family. The young man introduces himself as Owen Pepper, while the small figure acknowledges that he is the lead actor today. Owen responds calmly that he is not going to get angry at a child, while the girl points out the infamous house and asks if he is angry, and he laughs, admitting it. Owen is reminded by a girl that he should not speak as if he were not a child, and he realizes he had forgotten his true nature. Two children talk on a veranda, with one explaining that they want to act grown up, while the other questions if that is something they would say themselves. The girl comments that he is strange, but different from the rumors. Owen thanks someone, but that person replies they were not praising him. She remarks that he makes a good way to kill time. Then he asks if she was bored before and if it was her birthday, to which she responds affirmatively with some hesitation. A young lady explains that the birthday party is actually a social exhibition, where she must always behave appropriately for a noblewoman. The girl explains that as the center of attention today, she must entertain the guests because it is her duty as a member of a ducal family, and there is nothing to be done about it. He reflects that birthdays were joyful for children in his previous world and considers if it is different for aristocratic children now, concluding that the time they have as children is precious, while the girl responds with a questioning sound. The modest young man explains that half of what he says was told by his teacher, and that it would be a waste to be bored during such a precious time. He invites her to come play with him, and she responds with surprise. The boy tells the girl that she is the main character today and that it is a special day, while she worries about having a tedious expression on her birthday. A girl wonders if the day is special, and another woman replies that it is a special day because she has to entertain everyone, but then questions if it is not fun for the girl at all. The young man tells Natalie that what matters is what she wants to do, and she hesitantly begins to express her own thoughts. He tells her they are already friends, and suggests they go. Then she hesitates, surprised and questioning the idea of being friends. The girl expresses concern about where to go. The boy suggests exploring the garden, and the girl worries about being found if they exit through the hall, but the other girl reassures her not to worry. He shows glowing orbs in his hand and explains that they are the results of his 2 years of training while calling out the word Earth. He is told to lead the way, and then he energetically urges everyone to move now as the girl points out a staircase nearby. Owen calls Natalie to come back quickly, then tells his father there is a change of plans and urges him to grab on. They realize they are flying, and the girl asks if it is flight magic. Black Pepper reacts with shock as he realizes that the figure in the sky is using flight magic, which he finds impossible. He explains that his specialty magic was created by combining knowledge from his previous life and the intelligence of Katharina-sensei. Sasaki explains that in this world, the common sense is that all things are bound to the ground, which creates difficulty in correctly understanding magic. A voice from heaven explains that knowing from a previous life that all things are attracted to the ground by gravity allows a proper understanding and operation of this magic. A voice from heaven explains that flight magic is very special, because in the past, only certain individuals called witches could use it. He thinks that he should be the only person able to use flight magic at this time, as Katharina-sensei mentioned. Owen tells the girl to consider flying through the sky his birthday present to her, and she thanks him while expressing amazement at the flight and how small her house looks from above. The young man asks to hold on a bit longer despite it being heavy with 2 people, while the girl responds that she cannot keep it up any longer and questions what he said. She insists to the boy that she is not heavy and demands he correct himself, while he apologizes and then exhales quietly. Owen Pepper tells that he is seriously at his limit while a girl reacts with shock and another person kneels on the ground exhausted. He says he is at an age where he wants to act grown up, and she responds that she has already heard that excuse. Then she remarks that he is pretty amazing and questions if his bad reputation is just a camouflage, so he laughs off his youthful indiscretion, reminding her he is still young. A girl notices the music from the grand hall can be heard there. Then Owen hesitantly asks if they should return soon, and she warns him he might be treated like a kidnapper, to which he says it's fine as long as Natalie had a good time. A girl asks Owen if he can dance, and he replies that he can only dance a little after practicing for about a week. The girl suggests dancing right now and asks if he agrees, and he responds with surprise, questioning why they should dance. He admits his fault and explains that he is not very good at the task and his hands are still wet from sweat. A person asks another if they may have this dance, and if that is still acceptable. He awkwardly danced with Natalie, doing his best, and this was their first meeting. Ralph Adelheid questions why Owen Pepper went to kidnap Natalie, while Owen explains he only wanted to celebrate his friend's birthday and did not know Natalie was close to the eldest son of House Pepper. The man laughs loudly and acknowledges that he understands the meaning of having a friend, while the two others below react with surprise. The man asks Owen to get along well with his daughter Natalie from now on, and wonders what kind of scoundrel took her away. The girl notes that obviously they are discussing the master of the house. Then she points out that even he can get nervous, and the boy thinks it was stressful but concludes the master wasn't angry after all. The girl thinks it is a relief that he is a good person after weighing the pros and cons, while the boy feels glad he was not killed. And the narration explains Duke Adelheid's strength and magical talent. The girl says that it seems they will be dealing with each other for a long time, and asks if he is also going to attend a magic school in the future. He thinks he should have been accepted to a magic school, and says he will attend Zansar, while she asks which one, and he admits he is not really sure if there is a number. The girl expresses her wish to attend the same school, and suggests they become friends. Then they shake hands in agreement, while the boy reacts with slight surprise. The butler welcomes Owen back and asks how he experienced the party, and Owen replies that he made a friend. The old man praises the young master and asks about the magic school he will attend in half a year, to which the young master replies that his friend will be attending Zansar. The young man expresses surprise and excitement, and the older man assures him that the school also belongs to him, asking him to feel at ease. The older man suggests that if Owen wants to learn more about his school, he should ask Katharina, who is an alumna, while Owen questions who Katharina Sensei is. The woman explains that today's lecture will be about magic academies. The woman explains to the boy that noble children begin magic school at 10, commoners can also enroll despite tuition fees, and it's an obligation for those with strong magic to learn societal contribution. Then the boy responds attentively. He wonders aloud if aristocrats and commoners clash when together, while two worried adults recall seeing their parents live by that discriminatory doctrine. The woman explains that Zansar operates a merit-based system for better and worse, and the young man acknowledges that it cannot be denied. A woman reassures that ability matters more than birth, and Owen acknowledges her understanding with a slight smile. The girl mentions other schools, while Owen feels motivated and wonders how far his magic will take him. He thinks about having people recognize his magic prowess and make friends, while a girl asks if he is listening and calls Katharina Sensei. Half a year later, Owen Pepper prepares to leave while two people see him off, and he reflects on spending the time excitedly waiting to enroll, remembering the teacher's promise of a good environment and feeling fulfilled. Then he decides to send a letter to Natalie. Owen looks ambivalent as an older man remarks on his expression, and Owen internally reflects that only two people came to see him off, which he attributes to his past behavior. The young man reflects on how he should have treated others more kindly, while the two standing figures acknowledge it is already too late. Owen reflects on having behaved unforgivably towards others, and believes they must hate him for it, while an older man and a woman address him with concern, and he hopes for their forgiveness by the time he returns home. The servants greet Owen and wish him a safe journey as he prepares to leave. Three maids encourage someone to study hard and to be careful on the road. The cook advises to eat in moderation and keep meals nutritious, while warning not to eat food from the floor. Then an older man acknowledges how much Owen has changed over 2 years without knowing the cause, but says everyone notices. He realizes that others have already come to love his current self, and then a group of people smile warmly at him. Owen reacts with surprise as the woman reassures him that she can attest he did his best at that time. He reflects on how, despite regaining his memories, his old self's actions still hold responsibility, and how he once believed he would be harshly rejected. He acknowledges the warm send-off and admits he never expected their hatred, while firmly refusing to dismiss his past behavior as something insignificant. He expresses deep gratitude for the kindness he received, despite his flaws, and promises not to forget how well he was treated and seen off. Owen promises to study hard and return as a splendid lord who will make everyone happy, and the servants express their affection toward him. The woman tells Owen that she is truly glad to have taught him magic, and that even before that, she wanted to protect him. The boy expresses gratitude to Katharina for teaching him magic, and tells her that she is the best teacher for him. The woman embraces the modest young man and tells him that he is her precious pupil, and that she will always support him. He departs on his journey to the royal capital in a horse-drawn carriage, as the voice from heaven narrates the beginning of the trip. With his heart beating in excitement, Owen realizes he has safely reached the royal capital, and expresses amazement at the city before him. He notices the horse carriages forming a congestion and assumes many are heading to the Magic Academy, then calmly decides to wait their turn, while another reacts angrily to having to wait. The young man angrily demands to be let through while the girl inside thinks he is an unreasonable complainer and tries to avoid involvement with him. Owen angrily questions who the other person is, while a figure tells him that court ranks do not matter here and asks everyone to remain quiet. A girl introduces herself as Farron Antonelli, and then Owen calls her a courageous girl. The man asks what noble house Antonelli is, saying he has never heard of it, and the woman responds that they are not nobles. A boy challenges the authority of a marquis family member, while a girl responds that rank means nothing in their school and only actual ability matters. The young man in black remarks that the other is annoying and recalls that actual ability is everything. Then the blonde-haired boy realizes the situation is bad. The young man says he will show his real power and casts a flame bullet spell, while the girl looks surprised and alarmed. Owen asks if the other person is all right, and the person replies that they are. The girl politely expresses gratitude. Then another character is surprised and questions who someone is now, while a third person comments on the girl's cuteness and pale skin. He admits he completely forgot about him, while the girl introduces herself as Owen Pepper of Count Pepper's house. The young man warns Owen that it is dangerous to play with fire, then excitedly suggests that means attacking Pepper's house, while Owen looks serious and repeats Pepper's name. He dismisses concern about what happens to a plebeian girl, while a woman demands if he admits to intentionally trying to hurt her. He casts a fiery attack, while another commands to freeze everything over. Owen tells two others that they are already causing enough trouble with their noise. The young man, surprised, asks who the woman is, and she says he should not speak like that to the next head of the Duke family, while he notices her badge and realizes she is a 3 stars. A voice from heaven explains that 3 stars are the highest ranked magic users, and only a few qualified people exist in the kingdom. He wonders why there is a 3-star rating in this place, and she tells him that even if he asks, it is obviously like that. A woman explains that she has become a teacher and warns not to cause trouble at Zansar before everyone enrolls. The boy apologizes twice, while a woman acknowledges his words with understanding. Owen Pepper, after entering the school without incident, reflects that his school life is finally beginning, and admits he was initially afraid of what might happen upon arrival. He thinks about whether he can become like the magician who displayed mighty magic. Owen shakes his head, thinking they should get used to the school first, while his former personality insists he will be living in a dorm and needs to unpack everything. The young man raises his fist confidently and declares that he will do his best at this. He examines his uniform, thinking about whether it suits him on the day of the school entrance ceremony. Owen notes to himself that he is now in Class A, while a figure says it has been a while since they last saw Owen. A girl smiles and walks confidently while a young man recognizes her as Natalie and confirms that it really is her. Sasaki reacts with frustration, while others comment that he looks thinner and hasn't changed much despite his efforts. Owen asks if the other has been doing well, and the other responds negatively while thinking not to get discouraged. The girl says she was incredibly bored and finds it tedious without Owen, then admits she cannot forget that night, while the boy doubts that it can be true. He nervously insists the situation will be misunderstood, while she expresses relief that they ended up in the same class and confirms it confidently. The girl explains that the school divides students into classes A to D based on their abilities and questions how the classification is determined since their abilities were not measured. The boy asks if the reason is their magic potential, and then explains it is due to their family's peerage. The voice from heaven explains that most students are separated by hereditary magic, though there are some exceptions. The girl suggests they get along well in the same class for the next 8 years, and the boy questions the length of time. The young man feels uncertain but vows to try, while the girl explains that true ability-based division won't start for another 2 years, and neither of them will fall from Class A. The voice from heaven notes the large number of people present and instructs everyone to return to their seats for now. The girl announces that it is time for self-introductions. Then Chris Clifford introduces himself as a 3-star magician, while the crowd reacts to hearing about the freezing demon and the teacher who stopped their fight is noted in the narration. The girl notes that having a 3-star homeroom teacher for first years is exceptional. The boy agrees, and then an authority figure orders silence and tells the kids to introduce themselves regardless of order. Owen politely asks to start first, while the crowd admires him as a handsome boy and refers to him as the prince of the school type. The young man introduces himself as Prince Berg-Ritten and requests to be treated equally despite his royal status, while another person expresses surprise that he is a real prince. The girl introduces herself as Farron Antonelli, and the boy realizes she is the same person from before, while some students whisper in surprise about her saint status. They explain that a special individual who can use sacred magic is rare. Then one notes that a commoner is part of the class, and Owen thinks to himself that there are many famous people in the class, including a prince, a saint, and a duke's daughter. Owen introduces himself and greets politely, while deciding to get the matter done immediately to avoid embarrassment, then offers something with his hand. Owen orders silence and tells Owen to continue, while the crowd murmurs about their family's decline and a rumored inhuman failure. He coughs and thinks that the rumors about him have spread more than he had feared. He says he has come to the school to become a first-class magician and admits he is inexperienced but hopes to improve together with everyone. He expresses eagerness to work together with everyone. The two characters remark that he seems like a normal person and is quite different from the rumors. A cloaked figure sitting on the edge says he has found one. The hooded figure notices someone with a face full of envy and repugnance and thinks he could be a useful test subject for medicine. Then someone says they have found one. A voice from heaven suggests testing their metal first and considers that Owen Pepper might also be useful for the experiment if arranged well. The young woman explains she will teach in her own way because following the normal curriculum is boring, then adds that usually they would finish self-introductions and end the class today. The young woman commands everyone to assemble at the training field and immediately demonstrate their power. The girl explains that the school is basically a whole city district with practice fields and a business district, and the boy agrees with agreement. The teacher explains to the students that they will review some magic before testing their abilities. The young woman explains that there are 4 primary elements of magic: fire, water, earth, and wind, that make up the 4 categories. Owen explains that familiar phenomena are easier to imagine and materialize, and magic swells up according to their imagination. Paris casts a freezing spell commanding to freeze over, causing a large ice formation to appear before him. Owen Pepper explains that he is particularly good at ice magic because he comes from a snowy country and understands ice's coldness well. The young priestess tells them they have been preparing on their own until now and urges them to hit the wall with their best magic. The young man concentrates and casts a water spell. Then the observing character acknowledges this as their level. Caius throws a powerful punch, while a girl remarks that he is pretty good and adds that she is also skilled. A girl evaluates the items as pretty decent. Caius casts a flame ball and then switches to a flame bullet while reacting to the attack. The girl notices Owen is burnt and offers to heal him, while Caius wonders if Owen aimed at him on purpose and expresses surprise about it. A girl prays for a sacred light to heal the burn on the boy's arm, which begins to disappear, while another woman praises the girl's saintly abilities. The girl asks what time it is, while the boy responds with, "Thanks for a previous favor." He explains that he saved Natalie when Dominic quarreled with her before school, while she remarks that such a girl must be their type, and he denies it nervously. The girl asks what kind of girl he likes, and he nervously admits he prefers blonde hair and blue eyes but cannot identify a specific person. Owen reacts with surprise when told he is the last one, then hurriedly explains he must leave because he has been called. 2 students discuss that the rumored person unable to use magic is Pepper. Owen Pepper thinks about being the center of attention due to his fireball and decides to demonstrate a stronger version instead of competing with Dominic's fire. Caius casts a spell called Flight using gravity magic, and a girl reacts with surprise that he is floating. 2 students discuss whether the flying magic is truly extraordinary or just wind magic, while one confidently states that proper flight magic is being used, and the observer realizes someone besides witches can use such magic. He comments on someone's audacity to pretend flying using ordinary wind magic, then watches as that person confidently presents himself before a crowd. The priest tells the crowd that they saw people both skilled and less skilled in magic today, then reassures them not to worry and suggests ending the session for today. A woman confidently says she will teach everything about being a 3-star from now on. He asks her if she has any plans, and she replies that she is just going back to the dorm for now. The girl suggests to the boy that if he is free, he can join her on a shopping spree in the business area. He agrees to the idea, wondering if it could be a date, while the scene shifts to the bustling shopping area. He asks what she plans to buy, and she replies that she has nothing special because she brought everything she needed from home. The girl says they will be exploring today and asks if he is curious about the place they will be living in. Then the boy admits he guesses he is curious and reacts cutely. A distressed young man asks if they have his medicine, while others wonder if he is sane. Then he demands them to give it to him. Owen realizes he doesn't have time to use his fireball, while the young girl tells the boy something with crossed arms, and he reacts defensively. The young man thinks to himself about using gravity magic to float and stop his opponent directly, while struggling as he is grabbed and lifted by another person. Owen falls to the ground, and someone asks if he is alright, while others wonder what was wrong with him, and a young man in office clothes observes quietly from the side. A young man politely explains that the other guy is his friend, while the surprised boy listens. He explains that the man suffers from neurosis and likely ran out of sedatives, then apologizes for troubling them and assures that he will inform the teachers himself. He realizes he has encountered an unexpected great fortune and acknowledges it. Caius thinks he only wanted to test if someone could serve as a tool to provoke another person, but realizes it was flight magic instead, then notices something that might be of much more interest. 2 weeks after the entrance ceremony, a woman explains to the group the 3 states of magic power, and how half magic is achieved by superimposing full magic on physical materialization to control it freely. The young man says that studying magic is still fun to him, but the more difficult theory reminds him of chemistry. The priest explains to the students that today's lesson will focus on magic control while standing in the elementary education practice field. The girl explains that magic control means focusing the magic power within on a single point, as she gestures with her hands. A girl explains that mastering long-distance magic allows activating spells farther away, while another person adds that some lesser extent of this ability is already possible. The girl explains that, fundamentally, long-distance magic becomes less effective with distance and is not highly valued by the school, while 2 boys question the usefulness of such a technique. The young man unexpectedly summons an ice flow, surprising the others, who react with shock and confusion. Caius causes something to crumble with a snap of his fingers, and the nearby girls admire the result with sparkling eyes. The woman explains that it allows for a greater variety of attacks. The girl explains that if magic can only be conjured from limbs or the body, enemies can focus on the caster's position to set up walls or avoid attacks accordingly. The young girl in a cassock explains that there is a clear difference between those who can use long-distance magic and those who cannot. The young woman explains that one of her acquaintances can control magic from a great distance, but does not expect the other to reach that level. The young woman instructs the group to practice activating their favored magic at increasing distances, and invites those with questions to approach her before telling them to start. He thinks that the task is really difficult, and remembers Katharina-sensei being very skilled at long-distance magic, realizing she must have been amazing all along without him noticing. Owen wonders when everyone lined up and thinks he does not want to wait for his turn like this. He thinks about whether he can find someone else to teach him, and another person addresses him by the name Berg. Caius calls Owen to teach him the trick to long-distance magic, mentioning Owen's specialty in body strengthening and magic control. He admits he cannot use magic due to lack of talent, and the other man reacts with surprise, referencing the first one's physical strength. The young man explains that he increases his abilities by circulating magic through his body instead of using magic directly, then admits he doesn't understand why he can't use it like that, and says he is focused on strengthening his body. He acknowledges that it must have been difficult for him to be a prince who cannot use magic in a country with intense magic supremacism. Owen says he has overcome a difficult time and found a teacher he respects. Then the other boy agrees and shares he has a similar experience. Caius apologizes for the trouble, and Owen responds that they should both do their best while thinking Caius is a good guy. Meanwhile, the line to see the teacher is not decreasing much. He thinks his current limit is about 50 centimeters and finds it still difficult, realizing the lesson had already ended before he asked her about it. Owen practices alone at night on the field, determined to continue despite difficulties. The voice from heaven explains that magic is imagination and claims not to be bound by this world's common sense due to knowledge from another world. He thinks that if he succeeds, he might be able to perform something amazing again, like when he invented flight magic. He considers matching his efforts with gaming knowledge and imagines a cool monster wielding a legendary sword. The girl says she finds magic really fun, while Owen excitedly tells that something just came to him. A young girl announces that the martial tournament will start this week, while a caption notes that 1 month has passed since the entrance ceremony. The text explains that the martial tournament, organized by the school, involves students battling each other using magic, as shown by 2 students clashing in midair. A young girl in a cassock explains that the elementary education department will hold a team battle with first-year members representing their class, and states that she has already decided whom they will send. He is surprised to be chosen and confused why Owen was picked, although he understands why the other 2 were chosen. The young man declares he cannot accept Chris Sensei's decision, then slams his fist on the table. He angrily questions why someone like Owen would have been chosen for this, while the two listen with concerned expressions. He doubts himself while the girl suggests he cannot accept that he was not chosen, and questions if she understood correctly. The young man agrees to proceed, while acknowledging that it might be hard to accept his judgment. The priest announces a mock battle between Owen and Dominic, explaining that the winner will participate in the martial meet. Owen Pepper thinks the situation has really gotten out of hand, then confidently declares he will be the winner and prove himself against the ruinous House Pepper. A young man angrily threatens to kill another, who advises that it is better not to use self-involved language, and admits he was the same before. A voice explains that this is an elementary education practice field, and that the rules are simple, while a crowd gathers around the area. The young man explains that he will decide the winner, either by his choice or when the opponent surrenders, while the other listens silently. The boy shouts to begin and casts a fireball spell, while another character remarks that the opponent is wasting no time. Caius commands a firewall to protect him, then notes that Dominic is a skilled fire magic user and acknowledges his ability after seeing the attack get repelled. He thinks that although he has gravity magic, he cannot use other magic while flying, making this opponent a bad match for him. A man suggests testing something, and another, named Dominic, responds with surprise. The young man commands to arrive with burning passion and destroy his enemy with a powerful fire magic called Ifrit. Owen encourages Dominic to meet his expectations while standing confidently next to the large, fierce creature. The young man urges Dominic to meet his expectations with determination. The girl expresses amazement while the boy watches uneasily. Then Owen commands the Ifrit to move forward. The young man reacts with shock and confusion at the sudden appearance of a large, dark entity while the girl urgently declares that the situation is bad. He wonders if he overreacted, doubts someone will defend, and then expresses surprise. He warns Dominic to get out of the way because he is about to die, and admits he can barely control the situation. A young girl in a long cassock says he has overdone it for goodness sake. The young man apologizes for being too excited and thanks the instructor politely. A girl announces Owen Pepper as the winner, while he thinks his school life was going smoothly and that he would participate in the martial meet. The martial arts tournament is taking place at Zansar Academy on the designated day. The spectators react to the lively atmosphere as the event's fair play oath is announced during the Zansar Academy martial arts tournament. The young girl explains that the competition lasts 3 days, and that the third day, with intermediate and advanced finals, will be more exciting than the second day with elementary education matches. The priest says he has finished his speech and awkwardly concludes, while Owen acknowledges that this is just the opening act. The announcement declares the start of the 52nd Zansar Academy Martial Arts Tournament amid fireworks and a cheering crowd. They sit in the waiting room, while he explains that their first opponent must be a third-year student. A young man argues they must win, while another objects to his reasoning about losing not being embarrassing. Owen confidently assures that they can win, while another person doubts it will be that easy. One character assures the other that their power will prevent any problem, and the other asks how they can be so certain. Caius says that the upperclassmen are not very strong now, and that he heard the student council president is very powerful. He tells Owen there is probably nothing to worry about, and the girl asks Owen why he is so worried anyway. The girl reassures Owen that everything will be fine and that they are strong, while Owen doubts his own strength, saying he has only fought Katharina Sensei and Dominic. The boy asks why he is the leader, and a girl explains it is because he is the strongest, while a man agrees with surprise. Owen denies being humble, while the priest says that no other 10-year-old can use flight magic, and Owen thinks his knowledge comes from his previous life. Owen hesitantly says he will do his best, and the blonde young aristocrat confirms this with enthusiasm. Owen encourages the first-year team to give their best, while another character notes that he is shining brightly. The crowd calls Senpos to step forward, while 2 young men encourage him, expressing confidence that he will win. The boy named Berg confidently holds a staff, appearing pleased and surrounded by energetic, affectionate sounds. The academy representative announces the start of the first match, while a spectator notes that the crowd is going crazy for him. The announcer declares Berg written the winner. Owen admits he can't lose here, and another character says they will take their turn next. Natalie introduces herself by name while adjusting her glasses and smiling confidently. The young girl announces the start of the second match, while Owen notes that the crowd has become even wilder. Owen explains to the boy that the Adelheid family specializes in powerful lightning magic. Then Natalie uses lightning magic to attack her opponent, who struggles to counter because of her abundant magic power. A girl casts a lightning spear spell, while another girl screams in fear as the magic explodes around them. A young woman is announced as the winner, and two young men congratulate her while she thanks them. The young man realizes that if both teams won, then the first-class team is the winner, and he confirms his suspicion with excitement. The girl suggests to Owen that they take a break, while he complains that he never got his turn. He explains that the second set of matches was also won by Berg and Natalie, giving the first years another dominating victory. He realizes he never got a turn in the match, and worries that winning without doing anything would make him useless. She suggests getting lunch since their matches are over, and he replies that he will watch the second-year matches while asking about Berg. He asks Natalie if her parents came to watch her fight, and she replies they are both busy. Then he thinks about his own busy parents. A man regrets dying before meeting them and not remembering how, while recalling that in his previous life his parents used to attend sports events and similar activities. The girl asks Owen if something is wrong, but he replies that they should get going, and she agrees. The teenagers note that the event is crowded and that many non-students have come to watch, while one mentions hearing that the first years this time are amazing. A boy excitedly says Berg is even more amazing, while another boy asks if he is talking about the third prince and the Duchess, calling Natalie cute. He wonders if they will win the championship, while she doubts anyone can beat the student council president, who is then recognized by the boy as the one Berg mentioned. They say the president will likely fight the enemies Senpo or Chuken to prevent their Taisho from winning again, noting that their Taisho is weak and probably off the radar. The girl tells the boy that the rumor says Owen Pepper is completely incompetent, and the boy wonders why Owen Pepper was even chosen, while Owen Pepper realizes the rumor is about him. The young man suggests they might be trying to fool the president by making the Pepper guy the Taisho, while the girl responds that he is clearly a throwaway and not really part of the team. Several students mock Owen's possible defeat and express hope he will not lose his temper, while he angrily tells them to stop. The girl reprimands the two for speaking nonsense as the boy reacts with surprise and calls out her name. Natalie loudly introduces herself, while the other girl hesitates to ask who she is, and Owen reacts amazed. Then Natalie explains that the rumors hide the real Owen. The girl energetically insists that Owen could win the entire tournament by himself, while he reacts with surprise and confusion. The young girl in the cassock tells Owen they should leave, and he looks hesitant, while someone beside him remains silent. The boy asks Natalie if she is angry about the horrible things said earlier, while she walks ahead without answering. The young girl expresses to someone that the situation is very frustrating. He realizes that she is crying because of him. Then a girl asks what is wrong while calling Natalie. He proposes to fight the student council president in the final match. He asks Natalie for permission to fight the president. A young girl asks Owen to promise that he will win. Caius agrees and thinks it would be best if the other man fought the opponent. He asks if they are sure, then says he agrees if Natalie is fine with it, and adds that he is also uncomfortable with seeing the other ridiculed. The young man explains that if the pattern from previous years holds, the opponent will only challenge the best players. But this time, there is a good chance he will try a Chuken match against Natalie. He suggests that when it comes to the president, even the other two might not be able to beat him so easily. He thinks to himself that the student council president is said to be the strongest. The boy asks if the president was really that strong, and the other confirms that he was watching the match. Owen Pepper confirms the person is a wind magic user, and another voice expresses doubt that flames will be effective against his wind. He admits that matchups are important, but then notes that there are no openings. The explanation is given that he can protect himself with a powerful, wide-range defensive wall that repels or sweeps away all normal magic. A young man explains that the enemy's offense is incredible, and that he relentlessly attacks with high-powered magic without giving a moment to breathe. He questions how someone can have such an unfair advantage, and the other explains that, due to experience, he can counter most magic and possesses excellent judgment. Owen Pepper thinks that if their opponent gains too much momentum, they won't be able to win, and suggests that maybe they can achieve victory if they make him look down on them. The blonde young man suggests physically enhancing himself quickly for a surprise attack, while the other responds that he cannot do what the blonde would, and then agrees that a surprise attack seems like the best option. The young man insists that he promised to win, while the woman reassures him that she will support him even if he loses. The girl laughs and tells the boy she was joking, and encourages him to win while he growls in frustration. He says he probably can't win against him by normal means, and Owen replies that they will have to come up with a plan, then agrees determinedly. He asks for advice on how to strengthen his body before tomorrow. The day after, Owen is declared the first match winner, and a bystander notes that the next match participant is calm and strong. Someone doubts Pepper's strength and predicts the match will be boring. Then Kaizef Standard is introduced as the student council president from the third-year team. The young man is surprised by the situation, while the standing boy urges not to be lenient with Kaizef despite his first-year status, noting the crowd's reaction is very different. Kekis expresses surprise that the chosen person was not Natalie and admits he has been bested, while Owen asks him what he means. Owen admits he thought the rest of the game would be easy after beating Natalie, but then acknowledges he was outsmarted and insists he wasn't trying to foil the other's plans. He admits he is not very confident in his strength, but feels compelled to act because Natalie was counting on him. The boy says he will attack with everything he has, and the other responds that he understands and asks him to go easy on it. The young man instructs to strengthen his legs and attack first, while another announces the start of the second match in the Elementary Education Department Finals. Caius prepares to cast wind magic, and then his blade strikes the opponent, who reacts with pain. He decides to seize the opportunity and launches a fireball barrage. Caius raises his hand and commands the winds to rise, summoning a swirling vortex around him. He thinks he should have won the match by now, but notices the opponent's quick switching between offense and defense, then resolves not to quit yet despite the difficulty. The crowd reacts with surprise and confusion about the unexpected magic. He reflects that the shortened chant weakened the magic, but it remains the most powerful he can use, then wonders if he succeeded. He says that the opponent is strong, but the wind barrier around him cannot be broken. The boy winces in pain and thinks that this is the serious side of the president. Caius declares he will use his full power from now on, while the other boy reacts with frustration. Owen struggles to cast fire magic as wind blades constantly follow him and blow away his magic, while a girl anxiously calls his name and a crowd cheers him on. He thinks that using half-hearted magic won't help, and decides to unleash a full attack to destroy the enemy with intense fire. Owen commands his magic to unleash a powerful Ifrit attack to blast away his opponent. He is shocked and surprised that his most powerful magic did not affect the opponent at all. Sasaki tells the young man that he expected more from his magic, but reminds him that being excellent at magic comes from experience, and since he is just a first year, he should consider giving up if he has nothing to offer. Owen shouts in pain as he is hit and thrown back by a powerful whirlwind. A voice worries that he might die, and says someone needs to stop him amid a swirling whirlwind. The girl tells the young man she cannot stand watching this any longer, and will stop him, while he thinks he can't believe how strong Kaizef is. The girl insists Owen promised he will not be bested, while the boy tries to calm her down. The girl points out that the boy has not given up, urging to look at his determined eyes. Owen realizes that Natalie is right about not giving up, and thinks about how to break through the typhoon of a wind barrier surrounding him. Owen decides it's a do-or-die situation, and uses a gravitational release technique to confront the approaching typhoon's eye. A boy realizes the wind magic displayed in class is being used again, while a girl also acknowledges it, and another boy doubts the possibility of controlling wind magic with such a weak current. The young man reacts with disbelief and questions if the legendary flight magic is happening. The young man confirms his suspicion that the wind is swirling around Kaizef and realizes the situation. The boy announces that the area above Kaizef is empty and activates gravitational release, while another shouts about physical reinforcement and elevated freefall. He curses the wind and struggles, while the other thinks he is trying to use magic again and vows to stop him. Maester Sirion explains to Owen that the basics of taijutsu are to break the opponent's posture and catch them off guard when they aren't looking, while Owen listens attentively and agrees. He thinks that since he is busy guarding his upper body, he is vulnerable or at a disadvantage. He yells that he will aim down here while attacking, then falls backward surprised as he shouts that it's magic again. Owen explains to the other character the basics of anti-magic combat using taijutsu, emphasizing the importance of dodging by watching the opponent's hand and maintaining balance to fine-tune aim. Owen reveals he was training not only magic but also physical strength, then strikes with an iron fist, causing the other character to react in pain. Caius casts a massive fiery spell that unleashes a colossal fireball at his target. The boy begs others not to stand up anymore, showing signs of exhaustion. The announcer declares Owen Pepper the winner, while the crowd reacts loudly. Two characters congratulate Owen on his victory, while another announces the winning team for the Elementary Education Department, expressing surprise. The boy says that the first-year team is hurt, but smiling despite pain. People in the crowd quietly say that Pepper was amazing, and it is no wonder he was selected. A man shouts Owen Pepper's name in shock as Owen regrets that he should have been the one over there instead. The girl tells Owen that she feels embarrassed doing it in a place like this and asks him to stop. He pleads with Natalie that just a tip is enough. showing visible distress. The girl tells the boy to wait until the headmaster finishes his speech, while he insists that he wants to feast immediately. They explain that on the final day of the martial arts tournament, they were crowned winners and invited to a victory celebration party. The girl warns the boy that overeating will cause a stomachache, while he thinks about being extremely hungry after a magical battle and decides to eat as much as possible. The sturdy man tells the girl not to stand behind him while he is eating, and she responds with confusion. The young man says he would love to meet them but hesitates. The woman explains the event is for networking and meeting influential people from other schools, and the man holding food says he is busy eating but trying to have a talk. Someone says that it is difficult to start a conversation. Then a girl stands with her hands on her hips showing frustration while others are talking in pairs or smaller groups. Ren tells the other boy not to run away with a lame excuse and to act like a winner. Then the blonde young man greets Chris Senpai, noting it has been a while. The text explains that there are 4 major magic schools in the country that actively exchange ideas and observe each other's events, including the school where the narrator is currently enrolled. The girl praises Owen for his splendid comeback in the finals, and he modestly responds that flight magic is not that impressive, expressing surprise at witnessing legendary magic. He asks if the other person is also interested in witches. The girl says he is standing too close and asks if he is trying to take her student away, while the boy reacts with surprise and thinks it gave him goosebumps. She expresses interest in Pepper, but mentions having capable students of her own, then smiles and asks them to say hello, while Caius Saren looks surprised. The girl introduces herself nervously as a first-year student named Thor, while another girl thinks the quiet boy seems shy but acknowledges his talent is no joke and believes she might get along with him. He says he was watching the game and expected Sanzar to be competent enough to compete with the intermediate education department, while the young girl senses tension, and one character reacts with surprise. A woman asks a man about the poor relationship he had with someone who showed open hostility. Then another character politely excuses themselves with the name Thor. The woman explains that she was his senior at Zansar. He got involved in a certain incident long ago and has acted strangely since, and that he used to be a sweet person who followed her and Katharina around, while Owen listens with surprise. A girl advises the boy that a single event can change a person and that his actions influence others. Then he nervously agrees. Another character recognizes a woman and recalls they were classmates. Sasaki silently listens, and then reacts with surprise after someone asks if he is deaf. The girl says she already knew a lot about him before he enrolled, and he reacts with disbelief that both his teachers were classmates and feels embarrassed. The girl explains that they were both rivals, who kept improving each other by fighting for the top spot. He acknowledges a rival as a genius, and the only one better than him at magic, while she questions why he is so smug about it. The girl in glasses smiles confidently while the other girl warns her not to think badly, and Owen Pepper thinks that Katharina Sensei has won. A young girl in a cassock tells someone not to waste free time on stupid thoughts but to mingle instead, and another person insists they already did, while a voice calls the first an idiot for claiming that doesn't count as a meaningful exchange. He thinks aloud that mingling in this world is difficult, then wonders what he should talk to a stranger about, and decides to hang out in a corner or somewhere. The girl introduces herself as Monet, and says she is a huge fan who is watching the martial arts tournament, while Owen reacts with surprise to being called. The girl says she feels much better because he beat up an annoying person for her, while the boy nervously responds she was trying to talk to him for a long time. Caius greets Monet while another character wonders if Monet called him an annoying bastard, and Monet confirms that Caius beat someone in the final. A girl says it has been a while and asks how they are. The other girl responds she was fine until she saw her face, and a boy thinks the girl is as cold as ever and that seeing her makes him want to punch her. A girl angrily tells a boy that she never remembers losing to him, while he wonders if it is because she always loses to him. The characters acknowledge a close outcome in their joint class sessions, while one asserts winning this time and another denies having lost. He comments that they are close, and the girl angrily denies it while the other boy agrees. He explains that they met in their first year while attending a social at another school and became close classmates, but she insists they are enemies and rejects the idea of being friends in spirit. The young man thinks about a rival who constantly argues and realizes he can relate to him. He refuses someone, thinking that person sees him as an enemy. Then she reminds him he spoke to her brother earlier and explains the brother wore a central uniform and was shy. A young girl wishes that Owen gets along well with someone, and a boy agrees that the other person is nice while thinking they barely talked and he doesn't remember much about him. The girl accuses the boy of really caring for someone. Then the second girl angrily tells them to shut up, while the observer thinks the two are really close. Owen wonders if he ate too much and complains about stomach pain. then reacts with surprise as his stomach makes noises. The boy apologizes that he needs to go to the bathroom and then says he will leave the two youngsters alone, while one of the youngsters urgently asks him to wait a moment. The modest young man thinks he is in trouble and realizes he is not in the elementary education building, so he does not know where the bathrooms are. He notices people talking nearby and realizes he can ask a student where the bathroom is, thinking he needs to report something. A girl in a cassock urges to act quickly, while a teenager thinks he recognizes someone. Owen Pepper thinks he has reached his limit while overhearing a conversation about the teacher's authority and a possible dispute at the school. Kaikadius pushes the other boy, who reacts with surprise. Then Kaius sweats nervously, angrily thinking that waiting longer is impossible. A young man asks nervously where the toilet is, and the girl tells him it is right around the corner, while another girl nearby admits she also held it in and apologizes. A young man in uniform smiles silently while another thanks him and runs away quickly. He wonders if the other person has hidden motives and expresses surprise that he would win. The red-haired boy looks panicked and overwhelmed, while the dark-haired boy comments that the other is an interesting fellow. The martial arts tournament ended, and the young man reflects that his reputation slightly improved despite lingering stomach discomfort. Owen thinks about how his reputation improved after defeating the student council president, while other students greet him enthusiastically and praise his victory. The girl recognizes Owen and calls his name. Then he awkwardly admits he is still not used to something, while looking uncertain. The boy excitedly tells the girl he created a new spell after winning the tournament and wants to know her opinion about it. Several characters whisper among themselves about Pepper developing a new magic and express their desire to learn it, while a girl listens with visible irritation. He nervously calls Natalie, who turns away and responds angrily that he should ask another girl to look at it, since he has many options now. The class begins hesitantly with a mention that today's lesson is about demons and magic stones. The teacher asks if anyone has heard of demons and explains that they are ferocious magical creatures that attack people. Then inquires who knows how demons are born. The mentor allows Natalie to proceed, and she responds affirmatively while raising her hand along with another student. The girl explains that magic stones gather miasma, turning it cloudy white, and eventually a demon is born with the magic stone as its nucleus. The young man explains that the phenomenon mostly happens with low-purity magic stones. The older man compliments the answer, and the young man modestly downplays his own skill compared to Pepper-sama. The gray-haired mentor explains that magic stones power magical tools and help replenish mana in emergencies, emphasizing that this information is crucial if anyone is in danger. The young woman explains that nobles must exterminate demons and that they will practice slaying monsters in their third year at the academy, while the young man listens and asks what she means. An older man asks why there are 3 teachers present at the forest lecture, questioning the situation. A girl hesitates and tries to explain after that. The young girl in a long cassock enthusiastically announces that they will practice slaying demons immediately, causing surprise among the others. A girl expresses disbelief that they would do something normal, while a boy reminds others that they are first years, and another questions if that is only done by third years. The young man suggests that Ren-sensei's taunts at the victory celebration might be the cause, while the other denies it vehemently. He apologizes and explains that the team which competed yesterday is strong enough to handle this, and she acknowledges it was his suggestion. The boy says to Owen that he is far better than the average third year, and then another boy reacts with frustration. An older man explains that he proposed the idea to Chris-sensei, while a young man reacts with hesitation, trying to object. The priest asks if everyone is satisfied and then says they will announce the team formations. The announcer divides the participants into teams, stating Owen leads Team A, Natalie leads Team B, Berg leads Team C, and Maurice-sensei leads Team D. Dominic expresses reluctance about being with certain people, while Farron looks forward to working with everyone, and Amelia greets them all politely. The young man with spiky hair insists he is the leader, while one figure tells him not to ruin the mood so quickly, and another remarks indifferently about the leadership. The young woman explains that each team has a designated area to hunt demons and advises to call a teacher with a magical tool if in trouble, showing how to activate it. A boy mocks and orders his opponent to disappear while wielding a glowing orb, and the opponent screams in reaction. One character scolds others for being late, while another says Dominic has not changed, and a third tells someone to come back because it is too dangerous, but the person does not care. He says that Farron can use holy magic, but he does not know much about her, and she replies that they are going to have problems. The girl tells Owen she heard he used to be just like Dominic, and he reacts with surprise. The girl says she has heard many bad rumors about the young man since joining Zansar, then mentions that he was once vilified for his dishonorable actions but later became a good person, while he reflects on his dark past. The girl suggests it seems like a different person took over his body, and he explains he was disciplined by a good teacher and started reflecting on himself, after which she acknowledges understanding. He reflects that his life before was like walking in darkness without hope, and both his body and soul were devastated. The girl explains that someone helped her and lifted her up, which is why she has become who she is today. Owen Pepper reflects on how a girl has always been a saint and never lost her way, then admits he wanted to be like her and desperately tried to change himself, while the girl responds humbly that she can't believe it. A boy asks if Owen's teacher is also a mage, and his companion replies that she is a great mage whom he respects highly. The boy enthusiastically explains that he enrolled in the school to become an amazing mage like the girl, who acknowledges this while responding thoughtfully. The girl asks what is meant by an amazing mage, while a boy wonders if it is because she is good at magic or knowledgeable about it. A girl apologizes nervously, and the boy reassures her that he is not trying to make fun of her teacher, adding that he already understands. The young man reflects that he has never seriously considered what kind of mage he wants to become, and admits he doesn't truly know it yet. He thinks about wanting to be as skilled in magic as Katharina, but realizes his vision of the future is rather vague. He admits he needs to think about it more. Then she smiles and says she will support him, to which he agrees nervously. The boy urgently tells the other to stop what he is doing, causing the second to react with surprise. A young man demands to be released, insisting there might be a demon worth defeating, while a girl reminds him they must stay inside the designated area, and the exercise aims to get used to demons, not confront the strongest one. A girl urgently informs others that Dominic is trying to go to the back, while asking what is going on. Caipeus angrily tells someone to stop immediately, and says that if they want to be a leader, they should behave like one. Caius yells angrily that he will not be told what to do, while two other figures call after someone named Dominic running away. The girl says she doesn't know why but has a really bad feeling about this, and then the boy reacts with surprise. Owen reacts with shock and dread to the appearance of a huge, muscular, boar-like creature. He describes a hideous demon with the face of a pig, then faces the large, pig-faced creature wielding a club. The characters wonder if the huge creature is an orc, noting its thick skin and strong arms, and remark that such a demon is usually subdued by several mages. The character recognizes and announces the presence of a high orc, while the orc growls threateningly. A young man wearing a hood asks what to do next. Then an older man explains that Owen Pepper uses witchcraft magic and has prepared a magic stone with concentrated miasma to summon a high orc. The hooded man explains that only an elite group of knights and mages could stand a chance against the threat, while Sasaki wonders how Owen will handle it and admits he would like to see Owen use more types of witchcraft. The boy yells loudly, attracting the attention of a large pig-like monster, which angrily warns him about being targeted and then unleashes a big fireball. He feels a strong pressure that overwhelms him. The girl scolds the boy for running away instead of using the magical tool to call a teacher, while he dismisses her words, calling the other target pathetic and noting it makes things more convenient for him. Caipeus casts a large fireball at a monstrous opponent while shouting about the attack. He urgently urges to get out of there while activating body strengthening, and two girls notice this and ask him to wait. He decides to jump away to escape from the high orc while preparing to leap to a new location. He uses a magical technique called gravitational release to lift two girls into the air. A character realizes they are floating and understands it is Owen's flight magic, while a large pig grunts. He struggles to speed up because of the extra weight, while the girls notice something familiar and call out to him. He warns Farron and Amelia that the creature is trying to throw a club at them and realizes they cannot dodge it. A girl urgently asks to block an attack while flying and explains she cannot use any other magic. Then the boy agrees and says he got it. Two girls cast magical attacks called Spear of Light and Blade of Wind to strike a large pig-like monster, which growls in response. He realizes he cannot control his body, which suddenly becomes immobile and starts spinning along with two girls in his arms, while one girl cries out in fear. Owen Pepper explains that a high orc skill can paralyze the body of its enemies, while warning that they are crashing. Two characters leap through the air, while one announces the use of gravitational release. He screams in pain as he clutches his shoulder after falling to the ground suddenly. Two girls express concern for Owen, who struggles to fight and fly properly, while one girl suggests she will heal his injury, but he urges them to just run because there is no time. The sturdy man insists he will hold back the threat while urging to get the teachers, and the fit teenager insists it is the only way, despite hesitation. One character tells Farron that he is right, then another urges not to die, And the same character says they are counting on everyone. Owen angrily calls someone a demon while holding a glowing, fragmented object in his hand. A monstrous pig creature casts a big fireball, and Caius reacts by noting its surprising speed while evading the attack. The young man smirks and tells his opponent that it's no fun when they stall and let his prey escape. Owen Pepper decides to let the girls have a tea party with some people, while a tree cracks and falls nearby, surprising a young man by its immense strength. Caius thinks defensively playing will corner him, then jumps toward a pig-like opponent knowing one hit from him means game over. The boar-like creature thinks that even if it staggers the opponent, weak magic would cause no harm, but Ifrit might be able to do it. The young man thinks that the opponent is not giving him any chance to cast magic, then reminds himself that magic requires thinking outside the box, while the opponent feels disappointed because nothing is happening. The character wonders how the orc ended up surrounded by fallen logs, and expresses surprise at the situation. The young man smiles and thinks that he wasn't simply running away. He tells himself to annihilate the enemy with fiery, hellish attacks, while being advised to pay more attention to his surroundings next time. The young man shouts an attack command while charging at a large creature resembling a boar. The monster roars as Owen says that even if this does not kill it, it should keep it trapped for a while. Caius reacts with surprise, realizing that the Ifrit creature was not enough to overcome the situation. He hopes the teachers will hurry and come. A young woman warns that they are surrounded while calling out to someone named Gigi as small, goblin-like creatures approach. The creature screams as it is struck by a blade attack called Blades of Wind. The girl says they need to get the teachers for Owen's sake, while he pants heavily and thinks it will be bad if more show up. He suggests they wait. Then the girl explains there is probably little miasma nearby and they can return safely if they go now, and the other woman asks if it is a saint's ability and agrees to go. The girl reacts with surprise as the other girl says she will return to where Owen was. The young man yells that the place where he is too dangerous, while the girl thinks that he would do the same. The girl asks to inform the teachers while someone runs away. A young woman in a saintess outfit regrets running away and reminds herself of her identity while running through a wooded path. He resolves to do everything in his power to help others, believing it is the only right thing to do as a saintess, and reflects that if she were here, she would have prioritized others over herself. The girl realizes she needs to do the right thing, and calls out to Sophie while moving through the bushes. Owen thinks that the High Orc does not know he is present, and that his holy magic should suppress the demon's miasma and defeat it. Owen commands to pierce through, then reacts with disbelief that the attack had no effect on the creature. Owen calls out activating a physical enhancement and then lunges at a large, pig-like creature. Owen coughs up blood, while another character calls out to him in concern. A girl casts a spell calling for Owen while a boy nearby thinks Owen cannot keep up and worries about him. The injured boy, sitting against a tree, thinks that this is his chance because the other person is not looking at him, while struggling not to get killed. The young man explains that the attack cannot hit a moving target, and that its recoil makes it difficult to use. Then he prepares to unleash a strike. Owen asks if Amelia is okay, and offers to heal him, then explains he let her go without him, and hopes she has already called the teachers. A young girl asks for holy magic to heal a person, while a boy explains that the injury will take some time to heal. He expresses concern that the other person came back for him, despite the risk of death. He tells the other that he almost died, and she replies that it is not because of her necessary behavior. The girl says she does not care, and would give her life if necessary, while the boy questions if sacrificing oneself for others is the duty of a saint, and advises not to throw life away easily. Owen thinks that the girl seems dangerous, and wonders if she is seriously talking about philanthropy or something. He observes rare magic with some distraction caused by a girl, then decides he will defeat her later. Owen realizes the creature is still alive and did not kill it. Then he warns to stay back because he is no longer fit to fight. The girl calls out to Chris Sensei, who appears dramatically behind ice shards and apologizes for being late. A hooded figure criticizes the squad for failing to delay someone and calls 3 stars difficult to handle, then says they will meet Owen again. The girl in the cassock tells Owen not to be so rough because she barely treated the injured person, and Owen apologizes saying it was a serious injury. A girl tells the boy she heard he defeated a high orc, but he modestly denies it, while another says everyone is safe and gives thanks. Owen admits he didn't defeat it and was nearly killed, but the other person tells him that, thanks to him, nobody died. Owen tells Berg that he should be proud, and Berg asks if that is how it works. Caius calls Owen cowardly and reckless for challenging a dangerous enemy without knowing his own strength, then insults him by saying he is just a fool. The girl accuses the boy of running away first, and he retorts that he ran away and calls her a failure for not realizing how powerful he is. The young man insists he made the right decision, while nervously questioning why others are staring at him. A young man nervously tries to speak, while an older man reassures Dominic that he is correct. The young man nervously notes that someone agrees with him, while the older man says that weaklings are better off running away. Owen angrily curses while a man with glasses says Owen was special and strong enough to let everyone escape by bravely fighting, then compares Owen to Dominic, implying Dominic was weak. The young man reflects that the other isn't wrong. Then a woman apologizes and explains to the squad leader that her words sounded a certain way, while a boy runs away calling Dominic. He reflects that he made a wrong choice, and that if he had been smarter, he would have been more careful, acknowledging that one wrong move could have caused everyone's death.